please give us a round of applause and let's begin.
Thank you. Thank you. Privet, everyone. Thank you so much, Konstantin, for the very nice presentation. I couldn't have asked for a better presenter. Firstly, on behalf of Frank Wade, the CEO of Master Translation, sorry, apologies. He couldn't be here today because he had another commitment with the Translation Association of China. But here I am. I want to share everything I know. And of course, I will share the story of how I ended in China. I'm a translator and interpreter of Spanish and English, and I chose Chinese as my second foreign language at university. So that's how I ended up coming here. I came first for 1 year to improve my Chinese, and then for 3 years to take a master's degree in translation and interpretation. And after that, I graduated and I started working at Master Translations. That's the company that I'm representing today. I wish I could be there with all of you, but we still have this opportunity to interact. I really look forward to your questions after the presentation that I hope is not too boring. I will try to make it fun, okay? So allow me please to start. I don't know if you can see my slides. Can you?
Not yet. Hold on. Yes, there we go.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. So the presentation is called Going Far East: Challenges and Opportunities of Working with Asian Language Service Companies. Here you can see Frank, that couldn't be here today, and me. Usually we split this presentation between the two. He does the most technical part and I do the fun fact part. But this time I will try to do everything the best way I can. Now, who are we? What's Master Translations? Where are we? We are an LSP that was founded in the year 2000 in the city of Xiamen. Xiamen is an island city across the Taiwan Strait. And it also has some neighborhoods that are on the inland. So it's very beautiful. It has a tropical weather, nice sandy beach, and I hope all of you have the opportunity to visit someday, as well as I hope to visit Ukraine soon. Now this is how Xiamen looks. This is where our headquarters are, but we also have offices in Shanghai, in Taipei, and other cities of China, as well as one office in the US. Now the presentation, as I said, has a serious content part and a fun content part. And let me start with the state of the Chinese language industry. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the Asian languages. I guess some of you translate or speak some of these languages, and CJK may sound familiar to you. CJK stands for Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages. Those are the biggest 3 languages that get more translation volume in the Asian countries. There are other languages, as you may know. English, French, Italian, German, Spanish are another group. Ukrainian belongs to a different group, and so on. And to give you some reference, the population that speaks CJK languages is of 1.6 billion, of which most are in China. And the GDP of the CJK speaking countries is equal to the USA GDP and bigger or larger than the GDP of the European Union. Now, if we look at this chart, that apologies is from 2017 because we couldn't find the most updated one. If you look at this, you see that 90% of the top 20 Asian language service providers are actually from East Asia. So you can see that mostly on this list, there is China, Japan, and Singapore. And this one is very updated. You can see that on the top 20 list of LSPs from Asia Pacific of last year, on the very top are a lot of Japanese companies. Now, I'm an expert, or I hope to become one day an expert in China and the LSCs companies that are in China. And according to the Translators Association of this country, there are almost 370,000 companies that have translation as part of their business scope. And almost 10,000 companies have translation services as their main business. I think that's very impressive, and it also represents the size of the market. If there is offer, it means there's also demand for it. So according to the Translators Association of China 2020 market report, the market size of this almost 10,000 LSCs of China is of 39 almost Chinese yuan, billion Chinese yuan, sorry, or USD 5.2 billion, which is a number my linguistic head doesn't even grasp. And that's at 10% of the global market size, according to the CSA. Now, if there is this huge demand, you can imagine that education related to the translation major in China is pretty big. And indeed, the most updated numbers show that there are now 259 universities that offer the master's degree in translation and interpretation in China, and almost 300 that offer the bachelor's degree, which is a huge number, an increasing number of translation graduates and soon to be translation experts. And there is a specific test that China has designed for translation graduates that is called CATI, the China Accreditation Test for Translators and Interpreters. And it currently covers 7 languages: English, Japanese, French, Arabic, Russian, German, and Spanish, although mostly universities require the test for English and Chinese. I myself was a student of master's degree of English and Chinese. I had to take this test for English and Chinese, and you can imagine it was a disaster because none of these are my mother tongues. So it was really complicated, and you're not allowed to use a dictionary most of the cases. So it was really difficult, and writing all these characters by hand.
Luz, what does
Bad
it give you,
memories.
this this certification, now that you've passed the exam?
Actually, for me, it was a requirement to graduate. As a master's student, we had to take the test. We didn't have to pass. We were made to take it. I think this is a way that how the Chinese government measures the number of students who complete and intend to continue working in the translation field. But this CATI test is not actually required, or it doesn't give you any job at the moment. It's kind of new. So for me, it was a compulsory requirement. And I don't think it gives you any different opportunities, although it looks really great on the CV, and it means that you really are dedicated to the translation or interpretation job.
So you have
fully.
300,000 students who graduate a year. 300,000 translators make their way to the market every year.
Yes, but I have to say, most of my classmates continued to become teachers, primary and secondary English teachers, because that's a very good position in China. It has really good benefits, and they immediately get a job when they graduate from translation. So yes, the number of graduates is that large, but I don't think it represents the reality of the amount of people who actually devote their time fully to translation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, what are the challenges in translating these languages? Well, as well as Ukrainian, to me, is totally a different language that I cannot read, I cannot understand. It's the same for Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. They are different between them. They are unintelligible. And even inside Chinese, there are different dialects that are sometimes even different in the written form and always different in the spoken form. Also, technologically, there is double byte and single byte character sets, which I don't understand. Please, Konstantin, don't ask me about this. And the localization demand is an important factor too, because there are some speakers, for example, the Japanese market, that are very, very not tolerant towards English. They need every content. The consumers require every content to be in Japanese, otherwise they will not buy. Quickly, in Chinese language, There are so many dialects, I would not even get into that, but they are mostly spoken. Every student that is native of Chinese, regardless the dialect, in mainland China, they learn simplified Chinese writing and what is called standard Chinese, Putonghua or Mandarin. So they can understand each other from Harbin, that is in the border with Russia, to the south, Sanya, that's in the southern border. For example, in Taiwan, they have, of course, a different accent and different word choice, and the written is traditional Chinese. However, the spoken is Putonghua. It's complicated, but this is the main classification. Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, Taiwan and Hong Kong use traditional written Chinese. The spoken differs, and in Singapore they use simplified Chinese and Mandarin spoken. So it's a bit tricky, but there is yes.
So
Question?
what if we make subtitles? Do we have to adhere to a specific spoken dialect of Chinese, or is it enough to make subtitles or voiceover in a traditional simplified Chinese?
Great question. Well, if it's only subtitles, you need to know, your client needs to know if it's going to be seen by people in mainland China and Singapore, which will be the same written subtitle, or in Taiwan or Hong Kong, that would be a different written subtitle. If it's dubbing, same, but even more complicated because spoken language in Macau and Hong Kong is Cantonese, it's not the same. And Taiwanese has some very specific word choices and different expressions and even accents. But I would say that usually the Chinese-speaking market does not consume dubbed content. They are really into subtitle content. So it's always good to make sure with the client what's the target market. If there are different target markets, there will be different subtitles needed, different written systems needed.
Cool.
Yeah. And then about the demand, what I said, the least tolerant market is, in brief, the CJK market. Now, in Europe, Asia, North America, and South America, CSA had a research and found that 76% of online shoppers prefer to buy anything that's written in their own language. We all understand that. I am the same. Even I struggle sometimes to buy things online in Chinese because I'm not sure if what I'm buying is there's a funny story. My friend wanted to buy crumples, a kind of dessert from the UK, online in China, and she bought it. And then what she received was a poster of this dessert, like a photo of a cake. So, of course, if you don't know what you are buying because you can't understand, even if you have a really nice photo, you have this risk or making mistakes or regretting or getting a different size or
Did you ever regret
76%.
coming to China? Did you have any regrets about going to China, ever?
Well, only being away from my family and friends, that's all. And no regrets in the daily life. Honestly, not. I think you are eager to know more about me than all this technical data, which I'm really happy to share.
Am I so easy to read?
So I will. It was obvious. No, I'm really happy to share. So I will go quickly through this and then go to the fun part, okay? Now, there are many opportunities. If you are an Lsp representative or owner or marketer from the Ukraine, you have plenty of opportunities in the Chinese market. You need to explore which companies in Ukraine are importing patented items or infrastructure, or if there is a big tourism in your area that comes from Asia. It's good for you to know that there is a big market. Also, the other way around, if there are companies in your country that are willing to sell or to go international to Asia, it's good to know that there are companies here that are ready to help you, and we are sure there is also the other way around. So it will be great to establish a bridge between both. In short, patents are a big market, and the country that files more patents is Japan, with the top 50 list of IP filings is comprised of applicants from 5 countries. The top one is Japan, second one is China, and the third one is Korea, followed by the US and Germany. So also very surprising, the Chinese market has changed drastically from agriculturally based economy now to a very technological and production kind of economy. And now the number of Chinese companies on the Fortune Global 500 list has reached 133 in 2020 as compared to 11 or 7 20 years ago. I think it speaks on its own, no need to explain. Gaming, if that's something you translate or something you do, there are plenty of games created in China that can be translated to your mother tongue and vice versa. There are a lot of games that need to be translated to the Asian market. But I would say the biggest game players are in Asia already. So localizing to your market is always a good idea. Now, as Konstantin mentioned, because he's very smart, Konstantin, I have to say, Frank always says, I really like that guy. He's so smart. And yes, you are.
You're going to make me blush.
Road. I can't see you. I've just seen my PPT, but I'll see you blushing later, huh? So as you know, the Belt and Road is an initiative of the Chinese government to create infrastructure all along the traditional Silk Road of the past and other new roads like the overland route and the maritime route. Some of these are modifications of what was believed to be Marco Polo's, the old Silk Road, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lot of business going on, a lot of construction, a lot of deals that are being signed that need their content. They need translation, they need localization, and they need interpretation. Well, the trend is that Western languages are being translated into Asian languages and vice versa. And it's very important to reach out, to make connections, to build this bridge, because we can all end up winning a lot, learning a lot. And you should know that Asian companies also use the Western type of certifications like ISO and so on. So that can guarantee that the processes that are happening behind that person in that email and that computer are standardized, are controlled, are of high quality, as you must expect from a professional language service company. There are differences with the Chinese LSPs. I would say not so many. I would say the same as with different countries around Europe, different holidays, maybe some tools are different, but we are all open to learn, to use the tools that you suggest or that your client needs. And we can always use the bridge language that is usually English to communicate, and that shouldn't be a problem. And Asian companies are always willing to participate in trade events and conferences like this one. And in the past, before COVID, there were also a lot of projects of conferences and going to be held in Asia, but that's now on standby. Hopefully it will come back to normal quickly, hopefully next year. And now we get to the fun part of the presentation, which is the one I prepared myself, so I know what I'm saying. If you work with Chinese LSPs, you should know at least what's the most popular social media that they use in China. If you haven't heard of WeChat, it's quite time now that you know WeChat is an app that you do everything on. It's a bit like Viber. I asked my Ukrainian friend, what's the popular social media in Ukraine? She said, well, we use Viber. So you can talk on the phone, you can make video calls, type messages, send files. You can buy, you can get taxis, you can play games, everything. Make big payments and transfers, pay your bills, pay to your landlord. Anything, you name it, can be done on WeChat. Even get an appointment with a doctor. It's really how China moves WeChat. And as for the professional side of the apps, there are some that companies use like DimTalk or Tencent messaging that are more private, so are considered more serious, but there's still, I will show you, there's still a lot of fun. Oh, there is a fun fact I wanted to share. What do you think these people are doing? Well, it's written, but have you ever seen this? Is this common in Ukraine to take a nap after lunch at your desk? Maybe Konstantin knows.
I've never done it. It looks fantastic. Do you sometimes get spooked by people sleeping like this and then suddenly waking up and grabbing your sleeve?
Well, you know what happens? They are very strict about the nap. So if there is a rush project that I need to finish and it's lunchtime and I need 10 more minutes, I will get all the stares like, shh, don't type, not now, we're sleeping, the lights are off, why are you typing? It's very cute, it's very cute. Now they take a break at the office, and that's because sometimes they live really far from work. I am Spanish, and apparently siesta is something that we invented. I will disagree. I say Chinese also invented siesta, because this I have never seen in Spain, and I don't know if it's common in the places where you come from. But it's very cute. I think it makes sense to take a break, and there is no shame on it, and I love it. I also got used to that as a student. I used to sleep on the library, and now every now and then I do take a short nap at work too.
There's a question from a very active participant at the conference.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So the question is if these hours are paid and how well they are paid. Sleeping hours.
They are paid extra, 300 more times. No, the break time is included as part of your work. For example, now in summer, we work at this office from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and there is a 2-hour break. 2 hours break to eat and take a nap or go shopping or whatever you need to do. In the winter, it's 8:30 to 5:30, 1 hour 30 break for lunch and nap. So it counts as a compulsory break. Even if you want to work, as I said, people will be like, why are you working? Take your nap or go away, be quiet.
And what's the work schedule like? I heard that 996 is popular in China, especially from Jack Ma's presentation, that you work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. That sounds a little bit extreme. How much do you work?
In my experience, it's exactly what I said. Well, except for today, that is 8:30. I'm at the office just to meet all of you. But this is exceptionally happening now because everything is online because of COVID and the time difference. But every day I leave the office at 6. I don't work on the weekends. This is the case of our company. Nobody is doing extra hours. Everything is well planned. But I do know colleagues who work on Saturdays. I do know colleagues who stay until 9 p.m. It really depends on company policy, the kind of jobs they do, but I have seen that. I know that it happens. Luckily, it's not the case at MTS. And it's not that I'm not saying it publicly because it's wrong. The office is empty and I can show you. It's 6 o'clock and people go home. So it's really fine.
Show us your office.
Lucky. Sure. You want to see?
Yes.
Okay, I hope the Wi-Fi stays.
All right.
If not,
we're with you.
Let me know. Oops,
so where are we? Give us a quick tour.
We are now at the meeting room. That's empty. I'm alone.
That's a big one.
And here is my little corner of the office. You see? There's no one. You can even see the echo. Hear the echo. The quality department, that's Frank's office, and there's more there in the dark production.
Show us Frank's office.
Reception.
Show us the boss's office.
It's closed. I'm afraid. It's closed. If not, I'll be there sitting in the comfy couch.
Thank you. This is amazing. Please give us a round of applause.
Very standard office. Give a what? Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's so kind. I will tell you something very funny. Before I said if you work in China, you will use different social media and also for work. I was very surprised in my first year at the company that my colleagues, the project managers or other translators sitting next to me would constantly send these funny emojis, even GIFs of the celebrities and famous people. And I thought that's very informal at first, very unprofessional, but you get used to that and it's kind of cute. I don't know if it's the same in your working environment. I had not seen that in Spain before. So at first I was like, why are you sending me a heart? Why are you sending me, I don't know, a bunch of flowers? But it's very cute. You get used to that and it's not considered rude. It's not considered too much. It's just cool.
How is it being a Laowai in China these days? Do you get a lot of attention?
I think the attention you get as a Laowai, as a foreigner, is also your, like Chinese people can see also if you are receptive to that attention or not. In my first years in China, I thought everyone was staring at me. People came and took photos. And now it's my 6th year. People still stare, but I think I'm doing my own thing and it's fine. And now at the office, they already know me. The first 2 weeks, they were like, who's that girl? Does she speak Chinese? But now I think it's totally fine. They know me. My neighbors know me. Everyone in my daily lives knows who I am. And there are plenty of other foreigners here. So it's okay. It's always fun. Always fun. There are always surprises, but always from respect and really, really, you've met the Chinese, they're really kind. So very friendly people.
We're approaching the end of our allotted time. Anything that you'd like to round up with?
I would like to allow them to speak, to ask if they want to know anything about China. I'll be happy to answer.
Let's go. Questions? Вопросы, товарищи? Стас, задай вопрос.
A question? Any questions? Anyone? Okay, here's
Interpretation, or is it all right if you hear interpretation? Should we ask in English?
As you wish. Both are fine.
I'll ask in English anyway. So thank you very much. It was great fun to know about China. Some funny stories about sleeping during the working time. That's actually, I think it should be in Ukraine too someday. So my question is, I have actually a couple of Lsps who I work with from China, and actually I'm more or less satisfied with our cooperation. And I want to know a bit more about the structure of Chinese Lsps. So as far as I understand so far, they usually have at least 2 directions, like for internal, for CGK languages, and actually for external, like for European languages. And actually they specialize in translating from English into other European languages. Am I correct? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your question. I think it depends on the company because there are some Chinese companies, for example, that specialize only in English Chinese. In that case, they only have one department. But in the case of our company, we do a lot of languages, European to Asian, Asian to Asian, non-Chinese languages, like, for example, English to Japanese. So, and we also have a domestic department for clients from China, an international department. So the structure is very flexible. I would say it always depends on the demands, and companies try to adapt to that. But yes, as you mentioned, very well explained, it makes sense to divide between the language pairs, so we can better allocate the resources. I think that makes what you said in your experience is true for us as well.
Thank you very much. It was a great presentation and very enjoyable. Well done.
Thank you. What a lovely day. I'm so jealous. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now
It's
go home before it's 9 o'clock.
I'm going to KTV, to karaoke, to sing for all of you.
Yes, please. Have a good evening.